Good morning, ladies and gents, and welcome to the EPL Index Transfer Daily. It is Friday, the 31st of May. Nearly June, isn't it? June tomorrow, the start of when things kick off. Arne Slot will be officially unveiled by Liverpool tomorrow. And we might as well start on the managerial front. And it's all Italian themed, to be honest, because it came out late last night, didn't it, via Sam Wallace at the Telegraph. A lot of people have got that report that today Chelsea will appoint, finally it seems, Leicester's Enzo Maresca on a 5-year contract, plus the option of a further year, and he becomes the 5th manager since Roman Abramovich has departed Stamford Bridge. And you're thinking, why am I talking or mentioning Italian? There's nothing else going on. Interesting enough, Atalanta's manager, the great Gasperini, he's actually come out with some quotes in Italy to say that, because he was asked about his future, he did receive a proposal from a Premier League club, a very enticing proposal. However, he can't leave Atalanta, he can't leave Bergamo just now, so he will remain. So it'll be interesting to see if we ever find out which Premier League club that is. But there we go. That's the managerial updates from this morning. Now, we'll probably be talking a little bit in this about incomings and departures. So we'll do a few sort of incomings kind of linked to both, I suppose you could argue. But the Independent, Miguel Delaney, had this late yesterday that Manchester United, are considering a move for Chelsea's 24-year-old defender, Trevor Chalobah. Interesting one, Chalobah. I mean, he's been linked with a move away for so long, but obviously in case of Chelsea's FFP, PSR issues, whether they can get it ratified to sell their training ground, etc., to themselves. If not, you suspect these homegrown departures could well happen rather quickly. It may just happen anyway, because he's not really been in the team, has he? Play centre-back, right-back, even left-back at a push, holding midfielder. So you can understand why United may be interested at the right price. Another potential transfer news that quite a few outlets had this. Samira and John Cross, it was one of their breaking news yesterday, that out of all his options, we mentioned him yesterday as well, Benjamin Sesko, the Slovenian forward, the 20-year-old striker at Red Bull Leipzig, favours a move to Arsenal. And as he said yesterday, he was the red-hot attacker, wasn't he, at the end of the season there, just banging in goals galore at Leipzig. He has got that known clause in his contract as well. So, teams know what they have to pay. And as HITC said, Arsenal specifically are now ready to press ahead with a move for Sesko. It's well known that Arsenal want a centre forward, isn't they? Or don't they, for more goals? There's no doubt about that. Could Sesko be the one to keep an eye on? And speaking of departures, there was talk of departures galore, or people who would consider offers or being targeted. So if we start at Spurs, the Evening Standard had that they are looking to ship out both Brazilian internationals. So, you can hear what I'm talking about. Richarlison, as we know, the former Everton forward, and Emerson Royale, who's been linked with a number of clubs like AC Milan, Saudi clubs as well at the same time. So, Tottenham looking to ship out both Brazilians that way. And speaking of potential ship outs, the Mail had this, Kieran Gill yesterday, that Liverpool could be looking maybe looking at the departures of Luis Diaz and Joe Gomez, both at 27, and apparently their targets for the Saudi Premier League. Now, we've heard that for Liverpool from a few players, haven't we? Romano confirmed that Alisson had an offer. Jason Byrne, the Telegraph, confirmed that Al Nassr is still after him. And now we've got Luis Diaz and Joe Gomez being linked with Saudi clubs, which is interesting because obviously Fabinho and Henderson departed last summer. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens there. An interesting player, almost the forgotten forward, speaking of Chelsea and departures, as we mentioned, Broja. Now, he was on loan, wasn't he, at Fulham, didn't really work out, so Fulham had to pay that penalty fee. So people are wondering what he's doing. And quite a lot of, various outlets were back to that again. It's important to say that Wolves, Palace, and Everton are now being linked with Broja. Again, would count as a homegrown departure, so Chelsea could bank that in terms of FFP, PSR. So definitely one to keep an eye on, because he's clearly not wanted there either at all, and we'll have to see what happens. The Mirror had the advancement. It's this story, you feel, will run all summer. The Jared Branthwaite, will he go? Will he not? Obviously, everyone knows Everton's financial situation, how precarious it is. And the Mirror has that Manchester United been told to forget signing him on the cheap because apparently United want to pay about 40 million, and that's understandable. But Everton are looking for double. So it'll be interested to see what happens there. Couple on Mason Greenwood. So iSport and HITC have a lot of clubs abroad interested in him, including Atletico, which HITC make as the favourites, Juventus, Napoli, and Borussia Dortmund, as mentioned before. Now, this is an interesting one for West Ham fans because you thought at one stage they're going to definitely end up with one Brazilian, possibly two, as became yesterday. Now it might be one. Now it might even be none. We've done the full reversal. And now this is important to say because as various outlets, various reports came out, Bruno, the Flamengo centre-half, 28 years old, they'd agreed a fee, it was all sorted, except it wasn't because he's turned down the contract proposal and all the suggestions are in the various outlets. West Ham will not offer an improved deal. So that one maybe looks dead in the water, potentially. And speaking of Brazilians, I'm sure a few of you have seen this. Various outlets, Romano mentioned it, and it was spoken about by a few. I mean, West Ham are in talks with Palmeiras over Luis Guillem. Now, Luis Guillem, left-footed, right-sided attacker, looked at by Liverpool at one stage. Probably doesn't draw the headlines because if you think Palmeiras have had the likes of Endrick just moving to Real Madrid, there's Willian Esteval, who Chelsea have been linked with, but seen as a real talent there. So the talk is, according to Romano especially, that West Ham are in talks, looking to do a deal with a package around 35 million. So it'll be interesting to see if that one does get done. So whether West Ham do actually bring Eddie or no Brazilians to the Olympic Stadium. A few others to pick out. So Arsenal, a left back. So the Telegraph that with Arne Slot departing, and I'll probably pronounce his name wrong, but I won't do his first name. Hartman is a target now, according to the Telegraph, for Arsenal. Bellingham, not Jude, but Job. As the Standards say, Crystal Palace are in talks to sign that kid specifically, Jude Bellingham's younger brother. And the Athletics say that Brentford are also interested. So there's a full expectation he takes the next step in his career and moves on from Sunderland this summer. Interesting one from Football Insider. Now, we said Ross Barkley to Aston Villa, and everyone expected almost that to be done, confirmed, announced by now. But Everton are apparently now back in the race, according to Football Insider, for Ross Barkley. Now, there is important to say the report does suggest that it's expected he will go to Villa, but that's not done yet at all. So we'll have to see where that goes. They also have that Kobe Mainoo, a player that we talked about for a while, and his extension of his contract, that will happen. That he will sign a deal at United. However, that will be after the summer. And the only other real interesting one for football, just because we always like to give a rounded view and other things that are going on at the same time. Ownership talk, an interesting one. Red Bull, according to various reports, are set to buy a minority stake in Leeds United, and they will also sponsor their shirt for the season. It'd be interesting they become part of that Red Bull model, wouldn't it, Leeds? Because how successful has it been with Salzburg, Leipzig? Imagine if Leeds kind of fell under that, or even were just linked in some way to that umbrella. That would be immense for them. And then the other one, just to mention, is that Anthony Joshua, yes, this is football, not boxing, but Anthony Joshua is in talks, apparently, around buying a stake in Watford, his boyhood team. And on the final day of May, Friday the 31st, that was your transfer roundup at EPL Index.